The massive space station called Crossroads floated in the void between three star systems. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its many ports every day. Traders, diplomats, and travelers all mixed together in the busy corridors. Today was special because Princess Nea of the Villani Empire had arrived for peace talks. Princess Nea stepped off her royal transport with grace. Her pale blue skin shimmered under the station lights. Like all Villani people, she was tall and thin with delicate features. Her silver hair fell in waves past her shoulders. The princess wore flowing robes that marked her high status. 4 royal guards surrounded her, ceremonial armor polished to perfection. Station Commander Voss greeted the princess personally. "Welcome to Crossroads, Your Highness," he said with a deep bow. "We are honored to host these important peace negotiations." "Thank you, Commander," Princess Nea replied. Her voice was soft but carried authority. "I hope these talks will finally end the conflict between our peoples and the Terran Alliance." The Krex War had raged for 3 years now. The Krex were a warrior race who loved battle and conquest. They had been fighting both the Villani Empire and several other civilizations. The Villani wanted peace, but the Krex seemed to want only war. As the royal party moved through the station, they passed the cargo docks. That was where Will Chen worked on his freight ship. The human pilot was about 30 years old, with dark hair and steady hands. He had been flying cargo runs for 5 years since leaving military service. His ship needed repairs, so he was stuck on Crossroads for a few days. Will watched the princess walk by with interest. Humans were still new to this part of the galaxy. Most aliens had never met one. The Villani princess probably thought humans were just another weak species trying to survive in a dangerous universe. "Beautiful, isn't she?" said Rex, the station mechanic working on Will's engine. "Too bad she won't live to see tomorrow." Will looked at Rex sharply. "What did you say?" Rex realized his mistake and tried to cover it up. Nothing. Just talking nonsense." But Will's military training made him notice things. Rex was nervous and sweating. His hands shook as he worked. Something was very wrong. Over the next few hours, Will noticed more strange things. Groups of Krex soldiers were arriving on merchant ships. They claimed to be traders, but Will recognized military bearing when he saw it. These warriors moved like hunters, not merchants. Will tried to report his concerns to station security. The officer at the desk barely looked up from his screen. "Krex merchants come here all the time," the officer said. "Mind your own business, human." The dismissal bothered Will, but he decided to watch more carefully. During his evening meal in the station cantina, he overheard 2 Krex talking in their harsh language. Will had learned some Krex words during the war. What he heard made his blood run cold. "The princess dies tonight," one Krex said. "The peace talks must never happen." "What about witnesses?" the other asked. "Kill them all. Make it look like terrorists attacked." Will left the cantina quickly. He tried calling station security again, but the same lazy officer answered, "I told you before, human. We handle security here. Stay out of it." Now Will knew something terrible was happening. The Krex weren't just planning to kill Princess Nea. They wanted to destroy any chance of peace between their people and the Villani. If the princess died during peace talks, the Villani would never trust anyone again. Will made his way toward the diplomatic quarters. The station was huge, with many levels and corridors. He used maintenance passages he had learned about while waiting for repairs. His military training helped him move quietly and avoid security cameras near the princess's rooms. Will found dead station guards hidden in storage closets. Their security cards were missing. The Krex had already started their plan. They were replacing loyal guards with their own people. Will watched from a ventilation grate as Krex soldiers took positions throughout the diplomatic section. They wore stolen security uniforms, but their weapons were military grade. Princess Nea and her guards had no idea they were surrounded by enemies. Commander Voss walked through the corridors, checking security, but Will noticed the commander avoided looking at the fake guards. Voss nodded to several Krex as if he knew them. The station commander was part of the conspiracy. Time was running out. Will counted at least 50 Krex soldiers moving into position. The princess had only 4 guards, and they expected to face nothing more dangerous than ceremony and paperwork. The royal guards were trained for display, not real combat. Will tried one more time to contact someone who could help. He sent emergency messages to the Terran Alliance embassy and the Villani diplomatic ship. But jamming signals blocked all communications. The Krex had thought of everything. As midnight approached, Will saw the Krex soldiers getting ready for their attack. They checked weapons and synchronized their movements. Princess Naya was probably sleeping peacefully in her quarters, trusting that Crossroads Station would keep her safe. Will realized he was the only person who knew what was about to happen. He was also the only person in position to do anything about it. His cargo ship had some weapons, but it was docked too far away. By the time he reached it and powered up systems, the princess would be dead. The first explosion shook the station as Krex soldiers blasted through security doors. Emergency lights flashed red as alarms began to sound. The attack had begun, and Princess Naya had no idea that death was coming for her. With overwhelming force, the explosions grew louder as Krex soldiers blasted through the diplomatic quarter. Princess Naya woke up in her private rooms as the station shook around her. Red emergency lights flashed through her windows. The peaceful night had become a nightmare in seconds. "Your Highness," Captain Zara burst through the princess's door. She was the leader of the royal guard and had protected Naya since childhood. "We are under attack. We must move you to safety immediately." Princess Naya grabbed her emergency bag and followed Captain Zara into the corridor. Her other 3 guards formed a protective circle around them. The Villani soldiers looked nervous, but determined. They had trained for this moment. Even though they never expected it to happen, the corridor filled with smoke and the sound of weapons fire. Station civilians ran in panic, screaming in a dozen different languages. Children cried as their parents carried them toward escape pods. The beautiful diplomatic section had become a war zone. "This way, Princess!" Captain Zara shouted over the noise. "The emergency transport is on level 7. They moved quickly through the chaos. But as they reached the main corridor, Krex soldiers appeared at both ends. The warriors wore stolen security uniforms, but their weapons were military assault rifles. They had planned this attack perfectly. "Protect the princess!" Captain Zara yelled. The royal guards opened fire with their ceremonial energy pistols. The weapons looked impressive, but were designed more for show than real combat. The Krex soldiers laughed as the weak energy bolts bounced off their armor. The battle was over quickly. Captain Zara fell first, her armor cracked by heavy plasma rounds. The other guards tried to shield Princess Naya with their bodies, but the Krex weapons cut through them easily. Within minutes, all 4 royal guards lay motionless on the floor. Princess Naya pressed herself against the wall, trembling with terror. She had never seen real violence before. The Villani were a peaceful people who solved problems with words, not weapons. Now she faced enemies who only understood death. "Look what we have here," said the Krex squad leader. His voice was harsh and cruel. The little princess, all alone and helpless. "Please," Princess Naya whispered. "I am here for peace talks. I have done nothing to hurt your people. Peace talks." The Krex soldier laughed. "We do not want peace. War makes us strong. War brings us profit and glory. You and your weak words would ruin everything." The Krex soldiers raised their weapons toward the princess. She closed her eyes and waited for death. But instead of gunfire, she heard new sounds of battle coming from down the corridor. Will had been moving through maintenance tunnels when the attack started. He used his knowledge of the station layout to stay ahead of the Krex soldiers. His goal was to reach the communication center and call for help. But everywhere he went, he found more civilians in danger. In the refugee processing area, Will found 30 people trapped by fallen debris. A Krex patrol was approaching their hiding spot. Will could not leave innocent people to die. He used his emergency torch to cut through the metal beams blocking their escape route. "This way," Will called to the frightened aliens. "Move quickly and quietly." An elderly Centauri woman stumbled as she tried to climb over the wreckage. Will caught her arm and helped her through the opening. Behind them, Krex voices grew louder as the patrol searched for survivors. "Thank you, human," the woman whispered. "Why do you risk yourself for strangers? Will guided the group toward the escape pods. "Because it is the right thing to do," he said simply. After getting the refugees to safety, Will continued deeper into the diplomatic section. He could hear heavy fighting ahead. Through a cracked wall panel, he saw Princess Naya, cornered by Krek's soldiers. Her guards were dead, and she had nowhere to run. Will quickly counted the enemies. 5 Krek's warriors with full armor and military weapons. He had only a maintenance tool and his emergency sidearm. The smart thing would be to find another route and save himself. But Will looked at the terrified princess and made his choice. He dropped through a ceiling access panel behind the Krek soldiers. His landing was silent, and his first target never knew what hit him. Will's military training took over as he moved with deadly precision. He struck pressure points and weapon joints that disabled enemies without alerting others. The fight was quick but violent. When it ended, all 5 Krek soldiers lay unconscious on the floor. Will stood over them, breathing hard but unhurt. Princess Naya stared at the human in shock. She had never seen anyone move like that. Will looked ordinary, with simple clothes and no special armor. But he had defeated 5 professional warriors in seconds. "Are you hurt, Your Highness?" Will asked as he checked the corridor for more enemies. "Oh, I am unharmed," Princess Naya said. Her voice shook with emotion. "You saved my life. But how did you know I was in danger?" "I saw the Krek soldiers preparing their attack," Will explained. "I tried to warn station security, but they would not listen." More explosions echoed through the station. The sounds of battle grew closer as additional Krek's teams searched for the princess. Will knew they had only minutes before more enemies arrived. Princess Naya looked at Will with desperate eyes. She had lost her guards, her ship was too far away, and station security had failed her. This unknown human was her only hope for survival. "Can you defend me, human?" she asked quietly. Will met her gaze steadily. He saw her fear but also her courage. Despite everything that had happened, she stood straight and faced him with dignity. She trusted him completely, even though she knew nothing about him or his people. "Stay close and trust me," Will replied. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as more Krek soldiers approached. Will listened carefully to the sound patterns. His military training taught him to identify enemy numbers by their movement. At least 20 warriors were heading toward their position. "We need to move," Will said to Princess Naja. "More soldiers are coming, and this corridor will become a trap." Princess Naya nodded and stayed close behind him. She stepped carefully over her fallen guards, trying not to look at their still forms. The princess had never seen death before. The sight made her feel sick and afraid. Will led her toward a maintenance door he had noticed earlier. His hands worked quickly on the electronic lock while he listened for approaching enemies. The door clicked open just as Krek's voices became audible around the corner. Here, Will whispered, guiding the princess into a narrow service corridor. The maintenance tunnel was dark and cramped. Princess Naya had to bend low to follow Will through the tight space. Her royal robes caught on pipes and electrical cables, but she did not complain. She understood that survival was more important than dignity right now. Behind them, angry Krek's voices filled the main corridor. The soldiers had found their unconscious comrades and discovered the princess was missing. Their commanders shouted orders in the harsh Krek's language, sending teams in different directions. "They will search every room," Princess Naya whispered. "Where can we go that they will not find us?" "The old cargo section," Will replied quietly. "It has multiple levels and escape routes. We can defend it better there." They crawled through the maintenance tunnel for 10 minutes before reaching another access door. Will checked his scanner for movement in the corridor beyond. The display showed clear space ahead, but multiple contacts approaching from behind. "Now," Will said, opening the door quickly. They emerged into an abandoned cargo bay that had not been used in years. Old shipping containers created a maze of hiding spots and defensive positions. Dust covered everything. Broken lights cast strange shadows across the floor. Princess Naya looked around the empty space with confusion. "This place seems very isolated. Are you certain we will be safer here?" "Trust me," Will said as he began moving cargo containers into defensive positions. The princess watched in amazement as Will transformed the abandoned bay into a fortress. He positioned containers to create choke points where enemies would have to approach in small groups. He found old power cables and rigged them as tripwires. In minutes, he had turned empty space into a tactical advantage. "How do you know how to do these things?" Princess Naya asked. "Military training," Will replied simply. "Every human soldier learns battlefield engineering." The first explosion announced the arrival of their pursuers. Krek soldiers had found the maintenance tunnel and were blasting through the access door. Smoke and sparks filled the air as they cut through the metal barriers Will had improvised. "Stay behind that container," Will told Princess Naya. "Do not move unless I tell you to." 12 Krek soldiers burst through the destroyed doorway with weapons ready. They expected to find a helpless princess and maybe one guard. Instead, they found carefully arranged obstacles and no clear targets. "Where are they?" the squad leader demanded. "Search every container." As the Krek spread out to search, Will struck from the shadows. Princess Naya watched in shock as the human moved like nothing she'd ever seen before. He appeared behind one soldier, struck a nerve cluster, and the warrior collapsed instantly. Before the others could react, Will had vanished again. The Kreks began firing wildly at shadows and movement that was not there. Will used their confusion against them, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. His strikes were precise and efficient. Each contact disabled an enemy without killing them, but left them completely unable to fight. Princess Naya had expected humans to be weak creatures who solved problems with technology rather than strength. Her people believed that humans were peaceful traders who avoided conflict whenever possible. Watching Will fight changed everything she thought she knew. One Krek soldier noticed Princess Naya hiding behind a container and moved toward her with his weapon raised. She tried to run, but her long robes tangled around her legs. The warrior laughed as he took aim at the helpless princess. Will appeared between them like lightning. His hand struck the soldier's wrist, and the weapon flew across the room. A second strike hit the warrior's chest, and he dropped to the ground, gasping for air. Will caught the falling Kreks and lowered him gently to the floor. "Are you hurt, Your Highness?" Will asked, checking the princess for injuries. "No, I am fine," she replied, but her voice showed her amazement. "You defeated 12 professional soldiers by yourself. I have never seen anyone fight like that." Will looked around the cargo bay at the unconscious Kreks warriors. These soldiers were not prepared for human tactics. They expected a traditional battle, not guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare. Princess Naya repeated the unfamiliar term. "Fighting smart instead of fighting fair," Will explained. "Using the environment and enemy mistakes as weapons." More explosions echoed through the station as additional Kreks teams searched for them. Will knew these first soldiers were just a scouting force. The real assault would come soon with heavier weapons and better preparation. Princess Naya studied Will's calm face as he prepared for the next attack. This human showed no fear, even though they faced impossible odds. His determination seemed unlimited, and his confidence never wavered. "Will," she said quietly, "are all humans like you?" "Every human has the capacity to fight when necessary," Will replied. "We protect those who cannot protect themselves." Princess realized that her entire species had completely misunderstood humanity's true nature. The station trembled. As heavy machinery moved through the main corridors, Will pressed his ear against the wall and listened to the mechanical sounds approaching their position. His expression grew serious as he recognized what was coming. "They are bringing powered armor," Will said to Princess Naya. "Okay. The next attack will be much stronger than the first." Princess Naya felt her heart sink. She had watched Will defeat 12 soldiers with ease, but powered armor was different. Krek's battlesuits made warriors almost invincible. Each suit carried enough firepower to destroy small buildings. "How many soldiers are coming?" she asked quietly. Will checked his scanner and counted the movement signatures. 20 warriors in full combat armor, plus support weapons. They also have plasma cutters to break through any barriers. The princess looked around their makeshift fortress with new eyes. The cargo containers that had seemed so protective now appeared thin and fragile. How could anyone survive against such overwhelming force? "Will," she said softly, "you have already done more than anyone could ask. If you want to escape, while there is still time, I will understand." Will turned to face her with steady eyes. "I do not abandon people who need help. We will find a way through this." The first plasma blast melted through the cargo bay entrance like it was paper. Molten metal dripped to the floor as Krek's soldiers in massive battlesuits stomped into the room. Each warrior stood 8 feet tall in their mechanical armor. Weapon systems covered their arms and shoulders like deadly decorations. Princess Naya of the Villani Empire, the lead warrior, called out in amplified voice, "Surrender now, and your death will be quick. Continue hiding, and we will make it slow and painful." Princess Naya pressed herself deeper behind the cargo container, trying to become invisible. The battle suits had sensors that could detect heartbeats and body heat. There was nowhere to hide from such advanced technology. Will studied the enemy formation and noticed something important. The Krix had arranged themselves in a standard military pattern that worked well in open battlefields. But this was not a battlefield. This was an enclosed space with limited movement and multiple levels. "Stay here and do not move," Will whispered to the princess. "No matter what happens, stay in this exact spot." Before she could respond, Will disappeared into the maze of cargo containers. Princess Naya lost sight of him immediately, even though she knew roughly where he had gone. The Kreks began their systematic search, using plasma torches to cut through containers one by one. Their armor protected them from small weapons. Their strength let them push aside obstacles that would stop normal soldiers. Then something unexpected happened. The lights in the cargo bay went out completely, leaving everything in total darkness. "Emergency lighting activated," announced the station computer. "Please remain calm while maintenance crews restore power." The Kreks switched to infrared sensors built into their armor. But instead of making them more effective, the darkness seemed to work against them. Strange sounds echoed through the bay from directions that made no sense. Princess Naya heard metal grinding against metal, followed by confused shouts from the Kreks warriors. One of the battlesuits suddenly stopped moving, its pilot trapped inside armor that no longer responded to his commands. "Systems malfunction in Unit 7, reported one warrior. "All mechanical functions have stopped working." Will had found the maintenance access to the station's power grid. He was using electrical systems as weapons, overloading armor circuits and disabling enemy equipment. The Kreks had never faced an opponent who could turn their own technology against them. Another battlesuit toppled over as its balance systems failed. The warrior inside struggled helplessly as his armor became a metal prison. Will had rewired the suit's control systems through external access ports that most species did not even know existed. "Spread out and find him," ordered the Kreks commander. One human cannot defeat an entire assault team. But Will was not fighting like one person anymore. He had become part of the station itself, using every system and tool as an extension of his capabilities. When warriors tried to follow him through maintenance tunnels, they found their path blocked by security barriers that activated at exactly the right moments. The cargo bay's artificial gravity began fluctuating in patterns that seemed random, but were actually calculated. Kreks warriors found themselves suddenly weightless, then slammed back to the floor as gravity returned. Their heavy armor, which had been an advantage, now worked against them in the changing gravity field. Princess Naya watched in amazement as Will appeared on different levels of the cargo bay. He moved through air vents, climbed across ceiling pipes, and used service ladders that connected to other sections. The humans seemed to be everywhere at once. One by one, the Kreks battle suits stopped functioning. Some lost power completely, while others had their weapon systems disabled. Will never faced more than 2 enemies at the same time. Using the environment to control when and where each fight happened, the few remaining Kreks tried to retreat, but found their exit blocked by security doors that had mysteriously activated. They were trapped in the same space they had entered so confidently. Princess Naya realized she was witnessing something that would change galactic history. This was not just one human fighting for survival. This was a display of capabilities that no other species possessed. Will had turned an entire section of space station into his personal weapon. When the last battlesuit finally powered down, silence returned to the cargo bay. The cargo bay fell silent except for the hum of station systems returning to normal. Emergency lights flickered back on, revealing 20 disabled Krex battlesuits scattered across the floor like broken toys. Steam rose from overheated armor as their power systems slowly cooled down. Princess Naya emerged from behind the cargo container, stepping carefully around the fallen warriors. None of them were dead, but all were completely unable to fight. Their expensive military equipment had been turned against them by one human using nothing but station maintenance tools. Will dropped down from an overhead pipe where he had been checking for additional threats. His clothes were dirty and torn from crawling through air vents, but he showed no signs of serious injury. He moved with the same calm confidence he had displayed throughout the entire battle. "Are they all unconscious?" Princess Naya asked, looking at the motionless battlesuits. "Most are sleeping," Will replied, checking his scanner for life signs. "A few are awake, but trapped inside their armor. The suits will automatically release them in about an hour when the override systems reset." The princess stared at the scene around her in wonder. Hours ago, she had thought humans were just another weak species, trying to survive in a dangerous galaxy. Now, she had watched one human defeat what should have been an impossible enemy force. "Will," she said quietly, "I need to understand something. How were you able to do all of this? The fighting, the tactics, turning the station systems into weapons. Are all humans capable of such things?" Will sat down on a cargo container, finally allowing himself to rest. His body ached from hours of constant movement and combat, but his mind remained alert. Every human learns basic military skills during their education. We study history, strategy, and survival techniques as normal parts of growing up. "But the way you fought," Princess Naya continued, "you used everything around you as a tool. You never gave up, even when facing impossible odds. Is this normal human behavior?" "We call it adaptation," Will explained. "Humans evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill us. We learned to use our minds to overcome physical disadvantages. When we cannot win through strength, we find other ways to succeed." Princess Naya thought about her own people, the Villani. They had developed on a peaceful world with few natural dangers. When they faced problems, they used diplomacy and negotiation. The concept of fighting against impossible odds was completely foreign to their culture. "There is something else I do not understand," she said. "You had many opportunities to escape and save yourself. Why did you risk your life for someone you had never met before?" Will looked at her with genuine surprise, as if the question made no sense to him. "You needed help, and I was able to provide it. What other reason do I need?" "But I am not even the same species as you," Princess Naya pointed out. "We had never spoken before tonight. You owed me nothing." "Does not matter," Will replied simply. "You were in danger and asked for protection. Any human would have done the same thing." The princess felt her understanding of the galaxy shift completely. Her people had classified humans as a minor trading species with little military capability. The galactic databases described them as peaceful merchants who preferred commerce to conflict. "Well, I think my people have made a serious error in judgment about your species," Princess Naya admitted. "We believed humans were weak because you seemed to avoid military confrontation. I do prefer peaceful solutions," Will said. "War causes suffering for everyone involved, but when peace fails and innocent people are threatened, we will fight with everything we have." Station security forces finally arrived at the cargo bay, moving carefully through the entrance with weapons ready. Commander Voss was not among them. Word had spread that the station commander had been part of the Krex conspiracy, and he was now in custody awaiting trial. Princess Naya called Lieutenant Torres, the acting security chief. "Are you unharmed? We received reports of heavy fighting in this section." "I am perfectly safe," the princess replied. "This human protected me from the Krex assault force." Lieutenant Torres looked around the cargo bay at the disabled battlesuits with obvious amazement. "One person did all of this?" "Will Chen," the princess said formally. "Citizen of the Terran Alliance and the reason I am still alive." Over the next few hours, Princess Naya gave her official statement about the attack. She described Will's actions in detail, making sure the official records showed exactly what had happened. The incident would be reported to governments across the galaxy as dawn broke over Crossroads Station. Princess Naya found Will preparing to leave for his cargo ship. His repairs were complete, and he had shipping contracts to fulfill. "Will, please wait," she called out. "I want to make you an official offer." He turned to face her with curiosity. "What kind of offer, Your Highness?" "The Villani Empire would like to invite humanity to join our peace negotiations with other species," Princess Naya said formally. "We believe your people would make valuable allies and partners." "I cannot make decisions for my government." "I understand," the princess said, "but I will be recommending to my father that we establish full diplomatic relations with the Terran Alliance. Any species capable of producing individuals like you deserves our highest respect and friendship." Will smiled as he shook her hand in the human custom. "I hope our peoples can build a good relationship together." As he walked away toward his ship, Princess Naya began composing her report to the Villani High Council. The galaxy was about to learn that they had seriously underestimated humanity's potential as both allies and protectors.